What's going on, Badger fans? Welcome to Locked On Badgers as we continue to go through this recruiting class player by player, go through all the dudes in this group. And when I say dude, like this is a capital dude, like a capital DUDE, like 7 exclamation points. This is one of the gems of the class. Xavier Lucas was able to come on the show. He's really good. Cornerback coming out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, 6'1", about 180 pounds, out of American Heritage High School, which is a powerhouse high school. This is a guy we've talked about a lot in this show. So if you're an everydayer, you've kind of heard the dialogue. You've heard, the likes and why we like him and the upside. We're going to talk a little bit more about that today. As always, I get into the 3 things I like about each prospect. The first one is with Xavier, just NFL attributes, right? If Wisconsin is ever going to get kind of past the plateau it's been on and climb up a couple more rungs and get to the heavyweight battle in college football, right? Like Wisconsin is never really consistently battled at that heavyweight division. If you're going to get there, it's going to take a handful of NFL type guys and guys with NFL attributes on the edges. They've had guys with NFL attributes, obviously, at running back, at tight end, at D line, even at linebacker, at O line. You need those at cornerback and receiver. Like Lucas, again, you never know if this guy's going to pan out or if a different recruit's going to pan out. That's recruiting. Like Lucas may not do anything in Madison. That happens. But you have to stock the pond with as much NFL measurables as you can. It gives you the best chance of having somebody develop out of that. And that's what Lucas brings, right? That's why he's such an exciting get. He's not undersized. He's 6'1". He's not a slow player. He's a burner. He's not unathletic. He's incredibly agile. He looks like a deer out there, like just gliding around. He has great hands. He comes from a great program. He had a great offer list. So the first thing I like about him is just he brings the NFL measurables to the position. The second thing is the recruiting battle, right? I've talked about this a lot. I'm not going to belabor it, but you beat Miami for a cornerback in their backyard. That's huge. I mean that's enormous. Again, that would be like a school, and Miami's kind of a border. They have, I would argue, they have a higher pedigree football program than Wisconsin does. Maybe not. You could disagree with me on that, but that would be like a mid-tier SEC school coming into Wisconsin and taking an offensive lineman that the Badgers really wanted, right? It's just that type of recruiting win hits different, right? It resonates a little bit more clearly on the spectrum. So that's the second thing. I think it's such an impressive recruiting win, right? And the third thing is he brings. We talked about the NFL measurables. We talked about the recruiting win. The third thing I really like about him, there is just a heavy dose of swagger and confidence. Talking to him, talking to people who've talked to his coach, this is a guy that's going to come in and be ready to compete because he believes he's that good. It's and you have to have that at corner, right? So you have the physical measurables, the attributes, you have a huge recruiting win, and you have a kid that's wired to compete. And I think you put all those together. This is going to be a lot of fun. Let's put the film up as we always do, as we kind of examine these prospects, talk through it a little bit. Let me hit play on this again. Xavier Lucas coming out of American Heritage, and look at just the frame. Like as you're watching this film, like right there, they one-on-one down the line. Look at this is a great clip here. Look at just how athletic this is. Who makes that play? I mean, just to reach up, short area quickness, hand-eye coordination, reaction speed. Who picks that ball off? Even on it's just such a difficult play, and he makes it look so easy. The other thing you see when you're watching film of him is just look at how angular and long he is and lean. I mean, everything about him's athlete. I mentioned like a deer in the field just running around. Like he's just so graceful athletically. There's just not been a lot of guys like him. Here you see him playing boundary corner, press coverage. He's going to give you that type of ability with that size. He can really turn and run with people. He doesn't fall for a lot of double moves. Really talented player that can play press coverage. He can play off. He can play safety. He can play zone. He can read and react. He can come up and hit. And once he's got the ball in his hands, he's a bit of a threat as well. It's just a tremendous kid. Here he is in the slot. Again, just kind of completely cuts off that route from number 9 and jumps it, gets the pick. Here we are in run coverage coming up. Again, just sticks him and puts him in the dirt. He can do it. He can give you a little bit of everything. If he hits the ceiling, here he is again in press coverage again. He's playing dudes. He's playing at a very high level of Florida high school football. And here he's just running stride for stride down the sideline. And it's that frame, right? We have other guys that can run like that, but he does that with that 6'1" frame, long arms, long wingspan. Here he is. He's just on an island here, right? One on one. Look at the space. Now here's you going to see the catch up speed. This dude can fly. Look at him track that guy down. I mean, that's like a National Geographic video of a cheetah tracking down a wounded wildebeest. I love this prospect. Xavier Lucas is such a good prospect. Again, will it pan out? I don't know, because you never know. Wisconsin's got 5-star guys not pan out, and they've had 2-star guys go to the NFL. Like, recruiting is a crapshoot to some degree, but you reduce the propensity for chance by getting a guy with these type of tools, right? The margin for error is just easier. It's just bigger. So yeah, I love Lucas. I think this is a tremendous get. The film is every bit as impressive as you'd think it should be for a kid who has this type of offer list. And let's go down the recruiting checklist. Like, does the film back it up? Yeah, the film is a major check mark for Xavier Lucas. Does the offer list back it up? Yeah, Florida State, Michigan, Oklahoma, Penn State, Miami, Stanford. I always love seeing a Stanford offer because it speaks to the kids' kind of academic acumen. Does the physical tools back it up? Yep, that's another check, right? Fast, 6'1", rangy, and there's the recruiting rankings back it up. He's got 1 4-star and 3 3-stars. I actually think that's one spot that doesn't really back up the hype on him. The recruiting rankings are a little low. I think in this case, he should be a consensus 4-star. Like, you watch the film, you talk to people, he's just a stud, man. This is the type of cornerback Wisconsin does not get often. Again, look at this, just one-on-one on an island press coverage. These are the type of players you need to get to be able to compete with Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan. You need more of them. Like, you can't just get Xavier Lucas and say, oh, we're good. No, you need a Xavier Lucas or two every class. But this is a great start, and he's going to give you the ability to play different types of defense too, right? He's going to give you versatility to play press corner. He's going to be able to play off. He's going to be able to play in space. He's going to be able to tackle. So it's just a versatile athletic weapon for Mike Tressel, Luke Fickell, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll pause it there. We'll kick it over to Brian Smith to talk about Xavier Lucas. I'm going to start here. Any 2024 Wisconsin Badgers commits whose senior film has kind of caught your attention? I want to specifically maybe, what have you seen from maybe Mabry Mettoyer, Dylan Jones, any of those type of players?
Well, I'm going to start in my home state and, well, my adopted home state anyway. I'm from Indiana originally, but in Florida. Xavier Lucas, I've heard really good things about him. He's down there at American Heritage, and they obviously have a ton of talent at that school. To stand out at a program that'll have 10-plus kids that are Power 5 on the roster every year is pretty impressive, and he's a kid that transferred in this year, and I've heard really good things from people I trust. He's got a chance to come in and contribute for Wisconsin.
Who's your favorite recruits in this class?
It'll probably be guys most people have heard of. Some may not agree with me, though. I think the easy one is Dylan Jones. I mean, he's just a really good player. He could play at Alabama or anywhere, in my opinion. So Wisconsin hit the home run there. I also think that it's the DBs, and it kind of goes into your underrated deal. I'll give you an example. When you're getting South Florida DBs, it's a good start. Xavier Lucas, in my opinion, could end up being the best player in this class. I mean, projecting recruits is hard. But I was just looking at 24/7, and they have him as like an 82 or 80, like really low. And I just started laughing. He was the other guy at Dillard last year, but I was kind of looking at because he was an underclassman. He transferred, and he's in another prominent program. He's over at American Heritage. I was at a practice recently, and I saw him, and I'm like, how is he ranked like that? You know what I mean? And he's towards the bottom, but his upside is an NFL player. And I think Ogard is really underrated, and he's very technical. I like him a lot. So they got a couple good linemen, really good players, though, across the board. This is the most balanced class that I can remember Wisconsin signing in my lifetime, because they finally are starting to get guys on the outside that can compete with the Ohio States of the world.
Let me pivot really quickly. I want to keep talking about your favorite players, but we had a comment from somebody who listens to the show, comment on Clink, fan of the show, loves what you do, by the way, Brian. He wanted to know about Xavier Lucas. Why is he a 3-star? Like, what are the recruiting services missing or not seeing?
It's a bit of a mystery to me. I mean, my brethren in the recruiting ranks, a few of them live in Fort Lauderdale. I mean, he lives in Fort Lauderdale too. I don't know. And he played at a prominent program. Sometimes it just is. He might have missed some time last year or something. I can't remember, but like when he walks by you, you say, oh, that's a football player. You know, he's a track kid. He's long, he's lengthy, he's 6'1" anyway, and he could run. I trust American Heritage's coach. I know Mike Smith well. He's got a national program, and he off the record was talking to me about him. He's like, this dude can play now. I'm telling you, he doesn't BS me. He has kids and parents and stuff he deals with that are a pain in his you know what. He didn't have any of that with Xavier. And this is a guy that they churn out 4 or 5 guys a year that are Power 5. So that's all you really need to know. Why he's not ranked higher, I'm not that guy. But him playing at Heritage this year will help elevate him because they play national game after national game after national game. It's one of the best programs in the United States.
Oh, one more question on the cornerbacks, because you and I have talked about Lucas a lot. We've talked about Agard. We talked about Jay Harper. Comparing Lucas and Agard specifically, because when you're looking at this class, we're talking specifically how big of a loss would an Xavier Lucas be, for example. Is it fair to say Agard is probably the safer of the two, but Lucas has the higher upside just because he's bigger?
I think you pretty much nailed it on the head. Agard, in a perfect world, would be one of your 2 starters, but he could also be a flex guy. He's been coached very well. I don't know if he's a kid that's going to play right away because it depends on what system they want to run long term or how they want to do things. But by his sophomore year, I have a hard time seeing him not being a consistent contributor, if not a starter at nickel or corner, you know, however they want to use it. Lucas, though, you can't teach the measurables. This is what I would like to call a Kirby Smart special. Like they're to a point at Georgia where if you don't meet certain measurables, they don't give a crap how good you are on the field like at high school because they know they can coach. They'll take a less productive high school kid, but with all the measurables, and it works out. And obviously their defense is very good. But he's a kid that has such a high upside because he's just starting to get over the hump. I communicated with Coach Smith at American Heritage recently, and he loves his upside. He can play corner, in his opinion, at the next level. If you're over 6 foot and you can play corner, man, there's a gazillion schools that are going to be interested. And he's at American Heritage. I mean, they play elite programs week in and week out, and they murder most of them too. So he's getting the opportunity to play that competition. It won't be as big a jump to take the next step to go to the Big Ten, ACC, SEC, whatever. He'll be just fine.